Okay guys, this is going to be the Overpass basic CT and T-side position guide. So before we get into it, obviously this video might be a bit shorter than the others, and the reason for that is some of the positions you'll hear me explain in this video, the philosophy behind them is a lot similar. So I might do a video soon covering, the basic philosophies of your anchor or your brawler players or your Roma players, because these are a few that will pop up in this video. So just so you're aware, if I don't explain a lot on these certain positions, go back, watch some of my other videos if you're unsure on some of the positions. So first we'll get into it on the T side. So the first position, the first position on your T side of Overpass will be your B lurker. So again, similarly to Vertigo and to Ancient, even though you have a lurker on this side of the map, it necessarily doesn't mean they're always going to be lurking, they're always going to be last alive. The B lurker is one of your most important players on this map. So just by B lurker, it just means your dedicated B side of the map player. So your B lurker is going to be the one throwing the util at the start of the round to stop the CTs from taking short control. So that might be by throwing the molly like this. Their main job is to take control, is to come up to this end of area here. I'll quickly run over here and to work into getting short control, maybe take up to this kind of area of control. So imagine everything this side of the red lines. So they can do this by using utility, getting their team, maybe the AWP on the team if he's coming toward B this round, or the other players which cover sooner, to flash them into short at the start of the round to take short control. And to take this control. The B lurker's job is then to relay info to the IGL about the setups or amount of players on B, how much utility they've got, and what kind of setup they are in. So i.e. it might be really important for the B lurker to try to understand through sound or utility usage, where's the B monster player? Is he, right back here in this corner? Is he close right? Is he up on the GL positions here? Maybe he's wood. Is he barrels? Whereabouts is this guy? Because it changes. Because the more info you get about where this guy is, it makes the kill easier when you're entering into the site. Then let's say if you come back to entry toward B, you might have used your util earlier to throw maybe a lurk smoke or a flash to bait out utility. So you're going to be the one entering then onto this B site most of the time, using the information you've gathered in and during the round to enter onto the B site. So you might know this guy's barrels, makes an easy pre-aim for you there. Again, maybe your team's going up toward the A site, so you might want to be pushed up to short and trying to catch this rotation. Remember, you've got to be very, very vocal, especially on Overpass if you're doing this kind of role, because you constantly want to be talking to your team, the IGL, about the rotations taking place and the util being used on the B site. So if your team's calling an A execute and then suddenly you hear a guy rotating off B to go toward the A site, you don't want to sit quiet and just let it happen. You might want to say, wait, they're rotating one, because it might change your plan. If you sit here quietly and let that guy rotate, then your team might, play their A execute perfectly, and that's going to be, even though you had zero impact in killing or your movement in the round, that's going to be directly your fault because you didn't come. Because hearing nothing is still information. Okay, so that's the B lurker. Now we'll get on to the next spot. Okay, so the second player you'll have in your B default is going to be the connector player. So the connector's player's job is going to obviously to be coming into the connector early, like so, dropping down the ladder and maybe throwing a Molotov toward the stairs to stop any initial aggression. Your connector player may be also the one maybe throwing a front bathroom smoke early on for the round, if he knows he doesn't need to be fast for connector. What you've got to watch out for as a connector player is no AWP is peeking quickly, but then your main job as a connector player is to slowly work out in your own time. Sometimes you may be coming up quicker as a connector player, other times you might take more time, but to just be slowly clearing out clearing out all these angles, and just taking full connector control. Connector is a very important part of the map because it allows you to rotate quickly between the front of toilets on A down toward the B side of the map. Once you get con, you might open the door and start making sure short is clear with your short player. You can do the self-pop flash out like this, out of the window, and taking this short control. But overall, the cons player's job is pretty simply to take the con control and hold it. And again, remember, calling to your team, if the AWP does make a pick, you want to be calling that to your A players because the AWP's out of position. Let's say you kill the AWPer. You don't just want to kill the AWPer and start waiting. You might want to straight away start pacing up toward the top con and catching this guy out, because sometimes they now might be only in a 1A setup, so you might be able to get quick positioning. But being the con player is just about being disciplined and taking your time, as much time as you sometimes want, to clear out this con angle, and then making sure to come to your IGL, maybe if they've used utility in con, when con is clear, especially, don't just come through con and assume that your team will go, oh, you know, X player hasn't, you know, you haven't died in con, so con's clear. As soon as you clear con, you should be coming to your team, guys, con is clear, connector clear, connector clear, a few times just so they hear it. Now we'll go on to the next position on the map. So the next spot on Overpass is the AWPer. So the AWPer is going to be commonly going toward the A side of the map, taking these kind of angles at the start. Make sure no one is peeking over to start the round, going for picks. He might be then, depending on the default, maybe just holding a long angle like this in case any long pushes occur. Or if your team is going long, he might just walk up into these passive angles like this and taking these angles. The job as the AWPer on this map is to slowly basically go out and clear angles that the CTs might be in, like such, like working up, clearing, no one here, cool. Then you can work, then you're listening, your con's clear, you can jump down, slowly clear back toilets like this. The way I like to finish the default on con, once you've, as the AWP, as you've cleared all these angles, is and then try and post yourself up onto an angle here and watch for the jump peak. Because if you can catch that jump peak, you might be able to accelerate toward A. The AWPer's job on this T side of this of Overpass is to support his teammates on A to taking space and then just locking off the more long range angles like down here back toilets that sometimes a rifle will find hard to win. Okay, so we'll go on to the next rifle position on the map. Okay, so the next rifle position on the map is the Roma player. So the Roma player, again, like Ancient and like some of the other maps we've covered, is going to be someone that is going with the pack, the majority of the pack on the default. So if your IGL would call, alright guys, let's do a B heavy default, then your Roma would be going toward the B side of the map. Maybe he's flashing your B lurker into short, support utiling him, and helping the con guy come out fast. Maybe he's going out monster, maybe walking contact out monster with your A B lurk. He's doing some kind of play on the B side of the map to help out the B players. Or in an A default, he might be going up toward A, helping the mid brawler, who we'll get onto soon, or the A brawler, who we'll get onto in a minute. Maybe helping the AWPer, set the AWPer out for play. He's basically going wherever the space is, wherever the pack is, to help with the team. Your Roma is normally your kind of more supporty player on the T side. But again, like I covered, or I said in the Inferno video, your Roma is one of the most important players because he's got more options to go in different places on the map. If he thinks A might be, he might be able to get more impact on A, then he can go toward A. If not, he can go toward B and vice versa. So then lastly, on Overpass on the T side, we've got your A brawler. So your A brawler is, like the name suggests, this is going to be one of your best riflers on the team. He's going to be one of taking the up straight, you know, the A fights quickly on the A side of the map. So this is going to be the guy, you know, that does smoke the molly, flashes through, you know, flashes over, and he's going to start peeking off these angles. This is going to be the guy that gets flashed into middle and starts peeking out these mid angles. He's going to be the guy that you want first. Maybe you're flashing him in to start peeking the toilets control and getting bathrooms control. But this is going to be the guy mainly taking the fights if it's front toilets or if it's on long. Or, you know, if it's up front toilets, this is the guy, he's going to use his util early in the round to get better control. So he might drop a smoke so someone can smoke front toilets. He might flash over to get the AWP off an angle so he can start making, you know, more advancements, doing these jump peaks or spotting AWPs here. And then this guy's going to get, you know, the end of his default might be to end top toilets here and then waiting for an A execute so he can enter onto the site. Right, now we'll go on to the CT side of the roles. Okay, so we'll start on the A side of the map. So the first guy you've got on A is your toilets player or bathrooms player. So the main job of this guy is going to be to play in setups along with his AWPer on A that is going to catch the T's off guard for whatever their plan is. So he definitely wants to be throwing one of these mollies at the start of the round, so maybe like this, because you're more normally advanced than the AWP, so you want to use your utility, then smoking middle. This toilets player, obviously as the name suggests, is going to be playing in and around the toilets area. So this guy is going to be wanting to play multiple different off angles. He might be playing in a setup with his AWPer here to deny as much A info as possible, but also to slow the A take from the T's on their default. So he needs to stay unpredictable by playing in different positions each round so that the T's default doesn't easily seek him out. The more util, more time the T's take to kill the toilets player means that they're less likely to come toward the A site and more likely to come toward the B site. If you're dying very quickly as the rifler on A, you're doing something wrong, because you're giving the T's a lot of options to go back and forth between A and B. Even though you're not a dedicated con player, there might be 1 or 2 rounds that you end up in con. This is important to keep the T's guessing about your position, but also to deny them such easy info of this, you know, the easy rotate toward the B site. So good positions you take up is the long toilets position, and try and stay as active as possible, constantly moving between angles and catching these T's off guard when they least expect you. And then playing in good crossfires with your AWPer, which we'll get onto now. So your AWPer is the other player on A. So again, your AWPer, similarly to T side, is going to be responsible for locking down a lot of these, a lot of the back angles like such, taking these kind of fights, and then helping support your toilets player who's normally more advanced. So if you think about it this way, your toilets player is the one you want to make contact first, unless your AWPer is going for a pick, and then your AWP player can react off that contact. So your AWP player might be playing an angle like this, just back. Let's say your toilets player then takes contact mid, your AWPer might want to peek in, take that pick and run away. So that means if the toilets player gets one and goes down, the AWPer can then almost trade him and keep that man advantage. Then obviously when you get back to the site, the AWPer might be the one left here. Let's say his toilets player has died and he's now in position. The AWP player is normally doing these kind of jump peeks to try and get some info, doing these kind of peeks. And it's the last, the AWP player is also the A anchor for the A site. He's going to be the last man of defense on this A site and playing behind the dice here, jiggling between, which Nitro is known for kind of doing this kind of play. But holding down the A site, even playing super passive angles like this. The AWP on Overpass can play many different styles of AWPing, from the super aggressive peeking up on party to the very passive by playing just passive lines back on the A site. But it's all about playing in a duo well with your toilets player, making sure you can always trade him and you're not too far apart, and you're able to get impact together to slow down the T's default of taking toilets control. Because if you think the opposite side, the mid-brawl player, his end of default is going to be to get to this, to this toilets position here. If you can slow him down or kill him before he gets to that point, then you give the T's less options to attack. The first B side Overpass player. So all three people on B are of course important, but the first one is the Rotator. So the B Rotator is going to want to probably throw the monster smoke to start every round, as he's going to be the last person down on the B site. Now the B Rotator's job is to hang back more on the B site. Now this doesn't mean you just sit in heaven. This means you play areas like ABC and CT. You might play more aggressive positions in the pit, kind of up here. But your job is to be supporting your other two anchors on the B site to take space on the map if needed, or to take info. So you might be the one flashing your B short player into short, maybe flashing your monster player over monster. You could be re-smoking monster for your team, so if you're the B Rotator, you might want to learn the monster smokes from here and here. But it's your job as the B A Rotator to also be listening to the comms up on the A site. Now this is really important, as well as you've got to be vocal. If the B player, maybe your B short player, has got a lot of info that you don't need to be here, and the A guys are struggling, you need to be communicating with the A guys to rotate up, and where you need to be rotating up to. Why this is important? You might think, oh, I can come up bank, I could come up, jump up, it doesn't matter. Well, it's no. If you come up, jump up, you're instantly, and the T's are pushed up. One other quick thing I wanted to say about the Rotator. So whoever's playing the Rotator also wants to learn all these, nice little nutty spams for that spam the monster short pipe here, because they can be doing a lot of damage toward the short area with the spams. So I'd recommend you learning that if you're going to be the rotate player. You're instantly locked to this half of the site, this left side of the site, unless you take the long rotate round. So you want to make sure, right, am I needed? Let's say my CT guys on A are stuck long. I might want to come up, jump up, see if I can get up this angle here, might throw a flash over here before peeking this angle, and get up to truck, and then can just start holding these truck positions, maybe play an angle like this. But if your guys are stuck on site, maybe they are stuck truck, you might want to then maybe just wait and play in a nice, crossfire with your guy on truck, or you want to go to the bank side. So it's important you make that call while you're coming up, maybe asking your A guys a question to get the most info possible, and making sure they're coming to you well. But then again, obviously, as the Rotator, you've got to be listening, because your B guys might need you too. So what you shouldn't do is rotate up through the heaven way. You don't want to be doing that, because most of the time on execute, heaven is the most common thing to get smoked off. So you want to be running down this way, and then helping your team, especially if they're being, the site's being taken with some flashes. The flash could have been a bit better, but you get the idea. So the B Rotator's job has one of the most important jobs on Overpass, because rotating off too soon, especially if a B short guy hears it, could give the round away. But his job is to coordinate the B defense and re-aggression and taking space. Okay, then we've got the B short player. So the B short player is going to be wanting to throw, this kind of util at the start of the round. So he might want to be throwing the Molotov here. Then you might be taking short control if he's being super aggressive, supported by the Rotator. You might be wanting to take this. But the B short player, it doesn't mean that this B short player is playing on or taking B short. What it means is he is responsible for B short. So this is not, B short isn't your Rotator's problem, and it isn't your Monster Anchor's problem, who we'll get onto in a minute. It's the B short player's responsibility. So again, it's about him being versatile and the ways he can defend this. So if you're a B player, and let's say you don't really like the Rotator, it's a lot of responsibility to rotate back and forth, and you don't want to stuck being the Monster Anchor, this is the spot you're going to want to take. And you're going to watch demos of certain people of how they like to defend short. When do they go aggressive? What kind of positions do they play on site? These are kind of the questions you want to be asking yourself. You know, when do they play these kind of angles here? Or when does he play pillar? When does he make sure he's in a good crossfire setup with his B anchor? When is he in a good crossfire with his Rotator? These kind of things you've got to be thinking about and playing. But the B short's position, main job on the site, is to defend off this short position and be in good setups, listening to your Rotator, who's normally the site leader here, and being in good positions with your B anchor, who we'll get onto now. So your B anchor, or B monster player, as it's going to be commonly known, is going to always want to be the first down to the site if possible. They want to be mollying off monster like this, is my preferred way of doing it at the start of the round. And their job, again, similarly like to the B short player, their job is solely for the monster area of the map. So again, you want to be making sure that you are changing up your defense into the positions you're holding. You might be playing, you know, all the way back here on monster. You might want to be playing jail. You might be playing close right. You should learn the surf of how you get up there fast. I'm not very good at surfing, so I'm not really sure. You might want to learn the surf of how you get up here fast, or playing jail. You might play wood if you're on a lower buy, or you're going to play up the barrel. If you can imagine the site that's kind of like this, maybe here, everything on this left side of the line is going to be where you want to be playing. You don't want to really be the Monster Anchor playing here, because you're now giving your short player less options for where he can play. So you want to be mixing up your defense about where you can play and using your utility correctly. The reason you get the Rotator smoke at the beginning of the round is because then you've got a resmoke, and then you can smoke off monster if needed. Then don't be afraid to, let's say you don't hear anything outside monster, or your guys on A, which you still need to be listening to, are calling a lot A. So the reason you need to be listening to them is because you have one of the best aggressive routes you can take as the B monster player. The reason for this is, let's say that smoke's still down, and your A guys call that there's 4 toward A, maybe it's quick toward A, or they're doing an A heavy default. Well, you can get your Rotator before he goes to flash you out monster. He can flash you, and the most common place for the B lurker to be standing is right in this corner. So you flash, pre-aim in this corner, you might kill him now, and you've got this full control, which means you can come, you can sit in a really deep off angle like this maybe, or even, up on the side here, and you've got full monster control for your team, which is really important. So it's key when to know to take these aggressive positions. It's the same as a short player. You don't want to be doing it every round, and you've got to be doing it reacting to the A information. It might be good to do it maybe once or twice and a half, depending on the defaults of the Ts. Okay, that's the end of the Overpass CT and T side position guide. I hope this was informative and it helped you understand a bit more the different roles on the map of Overpass.